What's up, homies? My name's Keegan. I also go by Woolsaur, and I'm just kind of recording some gameplay of the blue-white Omniscience deck in Standard. I've really liked this deck, and as I kind of continue my journey of learning it and kind of getting more into the arena grinding space, I thought I'd record some of that and probably post it online just to help other people who are looking to learn a deck or pick up a deck or just watch some reps. That's something that I'm frequently looking for, and so I'm just going to try to talk my way through the process that I think of when going through this deck. I'm going to play through a challenge, or one of the standard events, and this is the list that I've been playing. I reached Mythic with this season. It's a best of one list. It's tuned for best of one. The Spell Pierce is really nice in the mirror and the blue-white matchups, as well as the sideboard is very much a best of one sideboard. I would recommend not having the both the This Town Ain't Big Enough and the Season of Weaving if you're playing best of three, and Battleland Survival largely isn't relevant in best of three, but I found can be good both from a speed perspective as well as allows you to win games that your Oracle of Tragedy and two of your invasions are in the graveyard or exiled. Or I guess not exiled because Battlelands can't do that, but it's just been great for being able to kind of create a game state and win in all situations. I don't think since switching to this version of the sideboard, I've been in a spot where I've had an Arcavios and not been able to win, which is really nice. If you're playing the Unnerving Grasp version, you can run into a problem where you don't have enough cards in your deck, and there's just some things you can run into. So I've really liked having the Battleland Survival as well as the Haunt the Network as kind of the easy mode way of winning the game. If you don't know the basic combo, I can hopefully show it the first time we get into a game with it, but we're just going to be playing some blue-white and standard and seeing how it goes. The best of one queues for this deck are really good. Obviously, a lot of your matchups are very good because you can't have too much in terms of graveyard hate in game one usually, although the current meta is changing that quite a bit. It looks like this is the Oculus deck. Usually the Omniscience decks aren't playing Founding the Third Path. It's interesting that they put it on 1 and chose not to cast anything. I'm curious if that was a misclick or if that was intentional. But we're just going to go along with our usual plan. Here we can take a stock up, and stock up is really nice on the draw in this deck. I've played quite a bit of this recently, so I just kind of want to try to impart some of that information. Stock up's great on the draw because it allows you to discard an Omniscience to hand size. So really the line that we're looking to take here is play stock up this turn, go up to 8 cards in hand. I guess we will be taking 2 lands. And then we get to discard an Omniscience to hand size here, setting up for our next turn. This is a rougher matchup for us, obviously. They get access to negates and whatever the 2-mana bad mana leak is, and those can be really rough for us to kind of play in these matchups. I think that I've had reasonable success in the matchup, but them having the ability to get a Haughty Djinn in play early can really pressure us in terms of they just can push a lot of damage as well as keeping up cheap counterspells. If they tap out here, they're probably dead. I do not expect them to tap out, so yeah, it doesn't look like they're tapping out, which makes sense. So what I am going to do in this situation is I'm going to pass it back over. Just play a land, pass it back over. They're representing a counterspell. If they don't have it, then good for them. But I'm going to try to Afar's Dispersal, potentially in their end step. Since we don't really need to dig for anything right now, because we have the Moment of Truth, depending on how much mana they tap here, I might try to bounce the Haughty Djinn in end step. That didn't work out exactly as we wanted it to. I'm just going to go for a Moment of Truth. So the hope there is that they go down to 1 card and then are able to, or 1 mana, and then we're able to take them off any of their instants or sorceries. Obviously that didn't quite work. And in this spot here, we're probably hoping to draw our one of Spell Pierce, which we did not do, obviously, and that is fine. And our options are kind of limited. We can go for probably just the Abuelos here. They almost certainly have a counterspell, but we're in a spot where we kind of just have to jam it. Oh, they do not have a counterspell. Okay. So we're going to follow up with another copy of Omniscience. We are going to play a stock up. Arcavios is a deterministic win if you have an Omniscience in play, 1 Arcavioses. And so here I get to show off the combo a little bit. I'm surprised they don't have any, it appears they don't have any sort of counter magic. We get to get an Arcavios, go into our sideboard. Here we're going to get our Joanne Stopgap. This, in paper, will just let you draw your whole deck, because we basically get to repeat the process of bouncing the invasion to our hand with the Stopgap. I usually, so in paper, you just get to go, I'm going to do that a million times and win the game. In this version online, what you have to do is click through drawing cards until you get to a second invasion. There are some versions of the list that are playing ways to kill with just 1 invasion. I am not. I found that that's pretty inconsistent and unnecessary, where you can usually just find the second copy. It takes a little bit of extra time, and people will make you click through it sometimes, which is unfortunate, but I'm actually going to, just because I don't necessarily trust that they don't have counter magic, I'm going to do a little bit of extra, some extra invasioning here, and just grab this town ain't big enough. So this town ain't big enough is going to make it so that we can basically search for every instant or sorcery out of our graveyard and sideboard by replaying these 2 invasions repeatedly, which is obviously pretty good. I imagine that they don't have any counterspells, but just to play it safe, I'm going to find another copy of Negate. And now we just get to loop the invasions with this town ain't big enough and picking up this Haunted Network over and over again to drain them for the full 20. Yeah, kind of shocking that they didn't have anything here. This deck plays a ton of interaction for us. It's potentially possible that they were banking on just having a one removal spell. They only have 1 white source, so it's possible they have multiple Get Losts or something similar in hand, and that's what they were planning on doing, but that's not quite what ended up happening. So we're just going to click through this here. They're dead. I don't think that there's... I would be shocked if they had anything at this point. So they do make you click through it sometimes on Arena. In paper, obviously, you just get to kill them. But, I don't know. I enjoy... I don't mind clicking through it, and plenty of people online will make you click through it, so... But it's not too bad. Notably, with this version, you cannot win through a Rest in Peace, although that's most versions of the deck, so you need to be able to remove a Rest in Peace. But once you have an Omniscience in play, the world's your oyster. Frequently, if you have 1 invasion and a Omniscience in play, you're able to Omniscience, getting this town ain't big enough to bounce your Rest in Peace and your invasion back to your hand, and then you're able to continue as normal. So it's pretty easy to do it here. If they will be so kind as to let me resolve my final Haunt the Network, and there we go. So that's the basic combo. In paper, there's a lot of lists that won't play Haunt the Network. The other option for a this turn kill is, what's the name of the card? Heroic Reinforcement? No. Yeah, Heroic Reinforcements, maybe. It's the 2 a red and a white, make 2 1/1s. All of your creatures get +1/+1 and haste this turn. So you play that a million times, get infinite creatures that are all infinitely big, and then attack. it's really a dealer's choice between that one and Haunt the Network. This way, you don't have to go to combat, which can sometimes be relevant, because you might need to cast the bounce spell on your own creature during combat to mill over an Omniscience and combo or something like that. So I prefer Haunt the Network, but it doesn't really matter. This is an interesting hand. I think it's good. It runs into a problem of we don't have a way to curb any aggression from like a red deck if they're playing mono red or something similar. It looks like they are playing green black. I think I want to stock up next turn, so I'm just gonna jam the Chart a Course this turn. Okay, so we have a Goldfish turn 4 kill if they don't have anything here, which it doesn't look like they do. They could have some different stuff. In Best of 1, people will play some pretty outrageous cards recently. The ladder was getting pretty gross as things were continuing. So I am going to take a second copy of Omniscience as a piece of protection for our combo turn. Usually we have to look out for like a cut down or a go for the throat or something similar. Unstoppable Slasher, great. That makes things easy on us. They are deterministically dead. So you get to get an Omniscience, make another Omniscience. Usually I like to show them the Arcavios right away because of that. So if you do the digging for a while on Arena, they might not concede, but players that know that they're dead to the Arcavios will concede. So usually I'll just do the one stopgap before I continue to stock up and do different things, just to speed up the process a little bit, because a lot of opponents will concede to you. But what I was saying is that this season specifically, because this deck has kind of become the boogeyman of Best of 1, is people are playing a lot of ridiculous hate pieces. You know, there's things that you can reasonably see being in main decks, Scavenging Oozes, Soul Guide Lantern out of some of the artifact decks, things that make a little bit more sense. There are also some things that make a little bit less sense, such as getting main deck Rest in Peace. There's like a card from Brothers War that's 1 and a white instant. Players can't cast non-creature spells this turn, exile all graveyards. I got hit by that one, as well as there's a 4-mana Surgical Extraction or Slaughter Pact effect in black from Aether Drift. That's just 4-mana sorcery, name a card, Surgical, all of that card from your opponent's library, or deck library, graveyard, etc. And that was a pretty brutal one. This is interesting. So this is one of our worst matchups, which is mono red when we're on the draw. On the play, mono red is pretty good for us, but on the draw, it is a tough ask. Okay, well that helps. So I started on Hidden Grotto there to try to help get towards interaction more quickly. We aren't able to represent 1-mana interaction. Our Forest Dispersals are the only thing we'd be representing, but it is helpful to help dig our way towards a blocker or something on turn 2. Yeah, so this is going to be why this is one of our worst matchups. Unless we draw in a Forest Dispersal here, might just die next turn, so that's not ideal. We are going to dig towards one of our main deck copies of what's the card? Temporary Lockdown, which we're kind of looking for here, but it does not look like we will find it, and we are probably going to die on this turn, maybe next turn. They now have a red mana that goes to non-creatures, so they can cast a Monstrous Rage, which here, if they Heartfire Hero, Double Strike, Monstrous Rage, that's 12, 13. So, okay, Swift Spear, that's good if we draw a Temporary Lockdown, but I'm not optimistic about it. We play 3 Temporary Lockdowns, which is good, and will obviously be game-winning here if we're able to draw them. but we might not be able to. And that's one of the awkward things about Best of One, as always, is you can never quite be sure what hands are keepable, and sometimes you see hands like this one. I think this was still a keepable hand despite not having interaction from mono red. It's possible that there's just, okay, that's something. There's a world where we could win the game now, I guess. So it's very unlikely, but there is an out for us, which is they somehow don't use. They have nothing in hand. They have 3 lands in hand, and we're able to a Forest Dispersal their Heartfire hero. We're pretty unlikely to win this game, but something to keep in mind. The Forest Dispersal is a line that helps us out here. We should be deterministically dead, I think, because if I'm them, I am activating Rockface Village, targeting both my Manifold Mouses, and then, yep, that's fine. And then attacking with one of the Manifold Mouses having double strike, and the Heartfire hero having double strike, and that way I'm able to, no matter who if Forest Dispersal, I am dead, and that looks like that's the line that they are taking. There's always a potential that they misclick, but they just give double strike to 2 of their guys here, and there's not much we can do. Double strike and double strike. Yep, we are dead. Would we have gotten there on our next turn? We probably would not have. Okay. And that kind of demonstrates the on the play versus on the draw difference in this matchup. I really like this matchup on the play because they usually don't have any tech cards or way to really interact with you. On the draw, obviously, it's a bad matchup, but mono red is a bad matchup on the draw for most decks. So yeah. Let's get into the next game and hopefully find something a little bit better. This hand's good. So this hand is able to play through mono red. I really think that hands that have that benefit are good. Black-white, that makes me think that this temporary lockdown is gonna be good. Sure, a Death Touch threat. Just jam an Archaeologist. The deck has some interesting sequencing turns, but a lot of the turns are not anything too crazy. The deck's not that complicated to play, if I'm being honest. Some of the lines and some of the mulligan decisions can be difficult, but especially in Best of One, there's a lot more just kind of keeping and hoping for the best than in Best of Three. Yeah. Let's see. So this is what looks like a black-white life gain E deck. I think I'm gonna block here. I might wait for them to commit a little bit more to the board. So I'm probably gonna play a land here. Hope to draw hope to hit an Omniscience off this stock up. I did not. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but we can just take some non-land card. Do we want to? How much do we value hitting our land drops? We're definitely taking the Moment of Truth here, but how much do we value hitting our land drops? I think I value it reasonably, and that way I'll be able to play Temporary Lockdown plus Meticulous Archive next turn, which is going to be powerful. Here, I don't hate discarding our redundant Abuelos, but also they're a black deck, so it's possible that they have Duress. So I might just be discarding this Blast Zone here. Yeah, I don't hate that. I like to usually keep a Confounding Riddle in hand just as a combo card for the protection spell for the combo turn, especially against black decks where they can't have interaction prior to you doing anything. And I think this is probably just a temporary lockdown turn. Their clock is... They're getting a little bit of a clock, so we want to slow them down. And that way we should have plenty of time to put something together. Our next turn is likely Archaeologist, hold up Moment of Truth for the next turn. This is obviously fine. This is obviously not a super meta deck, so I'm not too worried about what we've got going on here. I like to Hidden Grotto first. Arcavios, so I don't mind discarding the first Arcavios. Some people will, I think, keep too many because they're worried about... Okay, we missed on that. That's unfortunate. Let's see, do we stock up here, or... I don't hate stock up here. Okay, so we've got an Omniscience, and I'll probably take one of these Arcavioses, because then we don't need to worry about having to go through our entire deck to find the second one. Snowing Gorehound, sure. We do need to get an Omniscience into the graveyard, but we have plenty of time and can probably get... Okay, that's not bad. That could be scary. If he has a way to gain some life. I'm going to play this Moment of Truth now, I think, in case we find a Chart, of course. That would be the reason. Graveyard Library. And then we can cast this. Let's see. I don't mind waiting it out here. We can do both in the same turn next turn, and that way he doesn't get nearly as scared. The Confounding Riddle is going to be good as protection, and this way we're able to keep up counter Confounding Riddle in case he, I don't know, gains a bajillion life and kills us somehow, but I don't think that'll be the case. Okay, so feeling good about things. We're probably just going to take some damage this turn and then kill him on our next turn. And we get to demonstrate part of why I like the one green-black spell in the graveyard, just because it'll speed up this turn, this kill here, but also in the event that we had to mill our other Arcavios, we would still be able to win the game, which can be a struggle for the versions that need 2 Arcavios to kill. So we discard our Omniscience. Surprise, my grandpa was a Omniscience. We get to get our Invasion of Arcavios, and okay, they concede. So what we'd be doing there if the Arcavios, if both Arcavioses were in the graveyard, is we would be getting our whatever the green-black sideboard card is, buying back this Arcavios, then using this Arcavios to get This Town Ain't Big Enough, which would then combo us from there. It has worked well for me, although they did spoil in the new... we are in Dragonstorm season, Tarkir Dragonstorm, and the new card in that set, there's an instant speed regrowth, and that would replace the green-black uncommon in my sideboard. The green-black uncommon, at least from my understanding, is the only card that is able to buy back a non-creature, a non-land permanent. Non-creature, non-land permanent that is in standard right now. So this hand looks great. We are, I believe, on the play. I guess I didn't check that, but either way, we have some interaction for a fast red deck, as well as a Chart, of course, and an Omniscience to get in the graveyard. So the only thing that we're missing is the what's it called? Abuelos. Okay, so this will happen sometimes. They will play a Hopeless Nightmare and discard your own Omniscience, which is obviously good for us. I'm going to lead on Meticulous Archive here because I like stock up more than I like Chart, of course. I'd rather guarantee that I can play stock up on curve now that we have our Omniscience into the graveyard. stock up here, looking for obviously abuelos and a 4th land would be kind of the ideal. But okay, so this is a like a 8-rack style deck. I've played against a good number of these, and sometimes you can run into problems against these decks where, 1, they play main deck Duress, and that's very scary for this deck, and 2, if you don't have your Arcavios, then you can run into a problem of just not having a density of cards. So here we can afford to discard 2 more cards, or 1 more card after this, because we can discard this Omniscience. But ideally here, and it looks like that's what's going to happen, we just get to bring back an Omniscience here, and we have a deterministic win. They might have a cut down, so we lead on the Omniscience, so they can't cut down in response, and then we're just able to kill them from here. So we're going to go to our sideboard. We do, because we have so few cards in hand. Oh, wait, did we? Oh, we don't need to. So, because we have an Arcavios in our graveyard, we get to do the thing that I was talking about last game. So we play the Arcavios, go into our sideboard, get a Battleland Survival, submit 0 for creatures, and then get an Invasion, and then we get a combo from normal here. This speeds it up, but in some situations, it gives you a win when you otherwise wouldn't be able to win. There are lines with making infinite copies of the Oracle. This is 1, faster, and 2, able to continue to, or can still win even if you don't have access to your Oracle. A common strategy that people on the ladder have been employing to beat this deck is playing Jace and then exile effects, and they'll just try to exile all of the relevant cards from your library so that you can no longer win, because a lot of people are playing versions of the deck that can't win if you only have 1 Arcavios left or anything. And so having an out to not having access to one of your omens or what the situation is can just be helpful. I've really enjoyed this exact list. All of the sideboard cards are helpful in their own way. And occasionally you'll grab a fair negate or something just to set up for a later turn, but for the most part, every card is just for the combo turn. Negate and Chart a Course are really the only 2 that I grab in a fair capacity. I've grabbed This Town Ain't Big Enough a couple of times to stop yourself from dying in certain situations and help you set up for the combo, because you can buy back your you can kind of do a Storm Chaser's Talent impression where you bounce their thing and then buy back Storm Chaser's Talent. You can buy back your Arcavios and continue going. But this hand looks good to me. Again, we're on the draw, and it's a mono red deck. We do have a blocker, which is helpful. Monstrous Rage obviously makes blockers not really matter, but that can be helpful. Swamp Duress, okay, so they probably take our Abuelo's Awakening here. I mean, Abuelo's Awakening is the correct pick. Some people will take like Invasion here, which I think is not what you should be interested in doing. Yeah, there you go. So we're just going to lead on Amulet here and go on. This deck can have a tough time into the black decks because the turn 3 slasher into turn 4 Bloodletter of Alcatraz or whatever it is a very rough curve. I am going to take this Abuelo's Awakening. Moment of Truth is very good, but we can't really turn down having another one of our combo pieces. I think that decks are also very fast to cut down random dudes in this deck, I've found. There's not really a reason to be doing that, so I don't know why so many people are. This is not ideal. This Temporary Lockdown could be useful later down the line in order to slow down a clock from the Preacher tokens. And we can play a Grotto here. That's good. Next turn we'll draw up to 7 cards. And so we can use this as a, we can use this as a way to dig more. So my plan likely on this upcoming turn will be, if I was thinking more also, I could have pinged myself with the Adhikar Waste so they don't get the card and the 1/1, but that would have been correct there, but that was not, I was not operating on that level currently. That's too big brain for me. So let's see. We get to stock up here, hopefully find an Omniscience. No, okay. Probably a land, and then an Oracle. In that case, we're just playing a land and passing the turn. Not ideal, obviously. We could have threatened a kill on the following turn in that situation if we were able to hit. The Oracle is not awful, as it's a blocker, but it's not ideal, obviously. They, in all likelihood, have a 4th land here. If they have a Bloodletter, that's also not ideal. But what are we going to do? Okay. So let's see. Let's run out this Oracle. See what she has for us. It's potentially possible that you're supposed to chart a course beforehand, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm probably just going to discard this island, and then chart a course. Okay, that's really good. So we're able to play that, keep up a Spell Pierce, and then assuming we don't die this turn, which would be unfortunate, we do get to kill them on our following turn. Sure, we will let you go for the throat. We will draw a card and discard a card. And I will discard this Temporary Lockdown, as it is the only card here that will not protect us in our combo. We could very much die here. They can hit us for 5, so Bloodletter doesn't kill us. A hand attack spell would be very unfortunate. They get to draw 2 cards here, which is not ideal. So an additional copy of Duress is really bad for us. As is a Deep Cavern Bat. Okay. So they get to take an Abuela's Awakening here. Maybe that's a reason to hold on to the Temporary Lockdown, is that they don't get to... we could play it here, but I don't know that we're ever winning the game from that spot. That might have been a misplay. What else do we discard here? Maybe... I guess we can discard one of the Arcavioses since we have the other element in our sideboard. Let's see. We can bounce the Slasher and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then hold up Confounding Riddle and Spell Pierce. I think that's probably our best option here. We can hopefully not die. It's pretty unlikely that we don't die, but... Okay, so that would be something we are countering. And then the Afara's Dispersal gets to dig us slightly towards... so they get to draw some cards. So let's see. If we bounce the Bat, we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and lose half our life rounded up and die. Okay, so we will be Afara's Dispersaling this Unstoppable Slasher. We are binning everything that is not a copy of Abuela's Awakening. And there is an Abuela's Awakening. Okay, so that is good for us. And potentially bails us out of a game that we really had no business winning. Maybe? What do you got for me? It can't be another bat. Another bat doesn't win it here. So we just get to don't misclick on the temporary lockdown, make an Omniscience, make another copy of Omniscience. This plays around Go for the Throat, any kill spell. Cut down, sure. Yep. Cut down is fine. We get an Omniscience, and then we are going to combo kill them with these Arcavioses. Great. We didn't really have any business winning this game, but I'm thankful that we drew into the nuts. So, and that'll happen. I mean, this is obviously the kind of combo deck that at any point you can draw a card and just win the game because of it. And that's a good place to be in a format like Standard where people are doing such fair things. And like I said, I've been playing this deck quite a bit. I made it to Mythic with about like a 70-something win rate, high 70s. For best of 1, obviously. The deck gets potentially quite a bit worse in best of 3, but also you have the dynamic of people aren't jamming main board hate for you in best of 3 as much, so that's a nice piece of it. In best of 3, you also get to play Grand Abolisher to help in a lot of matchups, any of your counterspell matchups, but also your other ones. So here we don't have access to blue mana, so I think we do need to ship this hand, unfortunately. Hidden Grotto looks for something, but we have no Omniscience and no Omniscience and no Abuelos, so I think I feel comfortable shipping that. This hand isn't fantastic, but I'd rather not go lower. We're 2 white sources off of casting Temporary Lockdown. Do I care more about the second copy of Omniscience, or do I care more about the Temporary Lockdown? That's interesting. I'm going to go with... I'll go with Lockdown. Maybe that's incorrect. We're just so far off casting it that it feels like maybe not the ideal. Okay, well, it's a matchup where Lockdown is good. And there's our first white source, so that's not ideal. But I will probably... that's interesting. Moment of Truth is really good for us here. So is Afara's Dispersal. Moment of Truth is going to help us get to our combo faster, and Aspara's Dispersal is going to help us not die. Maybe it's crazy. I think I'm going to take the Moment of Truth. That might just be incorrect. I'd be curious. If you think that's incorrect, leave your comment in the comments telling me that I'm bad at Magic. Yeah, I just don't realistically see a world in which we are... I guess I probably would rather have it here now, but... I think we're just tapping out for stock up here. Sure, so that's a way to discard our Omniscience. We also have Blast Zone lines here, so in a world where they play more 1-drops or don't do anything super relevant, we can just Blast Zone them, which it looks like might be what we're going for here. They're going to put us to 8, so we are... Okay, that's something. I think I might prefer now holding up so we can go tap Blast Zone here, chart a course, hope to draw an Abuelos, no Abuelos, discard an Omniscience, and now we have Afara's Dispersal and Spell Pierce, which can hopefully keep us alive between everything we've got going on here. So let's see, we currently, I think, can go to damage, right? So they could have, if they have exactly Lightning Bolt, or Lightning Strike and a Shock, we die, If they have 2 shocks, I think I'm good to pass the damage here. And maybe this is crazy. But I don't think we ever die in this situation. Oh, I guess we have a hard time winning. Let's see, we can draw land here. Or Abuelos. Okay, well, show me the double, show me the bolts. Or, yeah, there it is. Okay. So I don't know if there's a world where we're winning that game. Maybe we're probably supposed to just Afara's Dispersal, but then we die to a Monstrous Rage. So it's really just a question of putting them on Monstrous Rage versus Lightning Strike there. And all lists are playing 4 Monstrous Rages, and not all lists are playing Lightning Strikes. So that's an interesting question. This hand's great. Ideal. Just how we drew it up. That is a little bit less ideal. Well, we're going to have a race this game of see if they kill us. It's not a turn one mouse, so that's good. Okay, this is a pretty slow start from them, so that is helpful. We're just going to chart a course, discarding Omniscience now, and probably play an Oracle of Faith, or Oracle of Tragedy, as a sideboard, or as a blocker this turn, and try to combo kill him on the next turn. That's the game plan. Let's Oracle of Tragedy first, in case we draw an Afara's Dispersal, because that would change what we are playing. We did not, so we are going to play... discard this waste, probably, and play the Archive. This doesn't represent anything. We aren't bluffing a Dispersal, but, I mean, they're going to try to kill us this turn no matter what. We're representing killing them on the following turn, so this is kind of a be killed turn for them. We're going to block the big Hired Claw to try to avoid as much damage as possible. I think we are deterministically going to win this game now. Even if they have Monstrous Rage here, we take 5, go to 5, and kill them. Great. Easy dub. Again, we want to keep an Omniscience in hand for protection. I'm going to discard this Charter Course as a redundant dig spell. Here we get to do the kind of fun part of the deck where we don't just have the combo card in hand or the Arcadios in hand, so we would get to dig for it. We're pretty deterministic because we are not deterministic, but we are pretty likely to hit. So that situation would be good. All right, we're playing for our trophy, and hopefully we win the die roll and have a easy game like that one. That would be ideal for us. But we will see. Let's see. Joe Bloody. What do you got for me? Our hand's good. We're on the play. That's good. We have ways to not die to red decks. That's good. We don't really have the combo. Well, that is helpful. Remember when I talked about easy games? We're hoping to... we're on the play, bend an Omniscience right away against Mono Red, have a temporary lockdown. Things are looking good. So right now we're just looking for an Abuelos, which we did not find. I am going to take this chart, of course. Sometimes against red decks, it's reasonable to not take it in order to get a 1/4, which can save you 1 extra life when they Monstrous Rage their Monastery Swiftspear, as we're going to see here. But I think, largely speaking, I would rather take an extra card in hand in this kind of spot. But maybe I'm incorrect on that. Maybe I'll die for Xaxes and feel sad. We take a temporary lockdown here, and then we're just going to start probably stock upping and trying to kill him on the following turn. Okay, that's good. That's helpful for our combo turn. It helps us play through interaction. Here, I'm probably just going to take the Archaeologists as good ways to dig and not die. We do have to pass here, which is obviously not ideal, but they have a few more lands than the red decks usually try to have. Yep, they're activating their Hired Claw, so that's a good sign for us. And, oh, okay. Well, it was nice knowing you, dude. Sorry, Joe Bloody. But this just kind of shows off, like, why I feel like this is the best deck in Best of 1. There's nothing our opponent could have done. Unless they played a Soul Guide Lantern or something similar in their main deck, in Mono Red, which isn't obviously what you want to be doing, then there's nothing they could have done. We don't have an Arcavios in our graveyard, we do not, so we have to dig for it. But we are deterministic at this point because we have one Arcavios, but just to save some time and clicks, we are going to dig with other cards. There we go. There are other Arcavioses, so now we get to kill them. And so this just kind of shows off why the deck's good, what it does well. Deck's busted. Would recommend playing this in Best of 1 if you are trying to climb the ranked ladder or are trying to get the qualifier tokens or just want a fun deck to play for Best of 1. This deck's great. Feels very good to play. Very fun. The vibes are great with the deck. I've really enjoyed playing this combo deck. I'm not a huge combo gamer in other formats, but like Modern, I'm usually more of a fair Magic the Gathering player. Prior to this deck, I played Bounce a lot in Standard, so I'm more of a tempo-y, fair deck player, but the vibes with this deck are just so fun that I've really enjoyed it so far. So if you have any questions about the deck, any of my deck choices, or any comments on kind of the gameplay in this video, please feel free to leave comments in the section below. I do believe that this is the best deck in Standard, and, well, at least, definitely the best Best of 1 deck in Standard, but arguably the best deck period in Standard. I know that it just won a Nerd Rage Gaming event, like this past weekend, or 2 weekends ago maybe, and that is a pretty competitive environment, so it's great in Best of 3 as well, but in Best of 1, this is the list I would recommend. It just covers all of the different elements, and obviously, as you saw there, oops, I win the game. It does that plenty, and you get kind of the best of both worlds. Lots of survivability with the 3 of Temporary Lockdown and 3 of Afara's Dispersal, and has plenty of game in other matchups. We didn't really get to see any of the really tricky matchups, which include Blue-White Control and the Mirror, which are a lot more focused around using this spell as a counter spell and trying to line up your protection. Those are the matchups where the 1 of Spell Pierce really shines through. But yeah, we got the win. I hope you all enjoyed watching. If you want to see more of this deck or another deck in Standard, let me know. I also like to draft, but I'll probably be sticking to Standard for the time being. I'll probably record some more leagues with this deck, or maybe my end of the season grind to try to end in the top 250. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, all the stuff that people are supposed to tell you what to do. But for the most part, this is just me recording my progress, so I'm able to watch it back and share with the community, share my knowledge and share the gameplay that I have with the community, and I love the Magic community and I want to give back. So I hope you all enjoyed watching, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.